where I'm also chairman of Township Council. Ironically, the same role that Mike's father played. How many years ago?
Back a long time ago, back in the late 70s.
In the late 70s. So I know exactly what your father had to deal with and went through, and his father did some amazing things, and we're here to recognize that. I would just say this: if we do our jobs well, it's kind of like being a referee or an offensive lineman. You don't hear about it, right? But when you hear about it, that's when there's problems. And Mr. Lancellot, for years, was the guy that just got things done, famously putting his foot up on an old wooden rickety bridge, which unfortunately I'm old enough to remember, and getting it torn down and getting the whole road modernized. And then, of course, he was in charge when the Granada Mall was conceived and then developed as well. So not small stuff. So we're here to recognize his contributions, not only to the township but in his life, and he committed himself to this community and made it better. And not many people will remember his name, but now we have a chance to remind people of his work and his contributions. So I want to throw it to my friend Andy Riley, who grew up with the Lancellot, so he can make a couple of comments and then we'll throw it to him.
Well, thank you, Mark. And it's amazing how things go full circle. And when I heard about this, it was unique because I grew up in Lenai. Joe was our councilman, who we all knew, was just a hands-on, and we went to St. Francis Sales Church, so we always knew the Lancellot family. And then I got involved and became a county commissioner, and at the time, two guys from Aston, Mike Fusco and Barry Pinkowitz, were trying to put together the rails and trails. And when they first came to see me about it, we all knew about it in Lenai because we used to walk the train tracks. This was an old freight line. We walked it from Lenai Road down to the Aston Middletown Little League. That's how we got there. We walked the tracks, you know, and it was abandoned during a flood, and so it became kind of a trail for us. And so those two did a great job, along with the Trails group, to get this and make it to become a rails to trails, and they're still doing a great job today. So I was pleased when I you know, everyone knew, of course, who Joe Lancellot was. He was I'm going to say, if you grew up in the Lenai Riddlewood area, you knew it. There were about 8 or 10 guys, including Wayne Lesky, I see his son Terry here, that kind of ran the town. They ran the area. I see Larry Weathers, his father, Larry, was one of them too. They all of them coached the baseball team at the Little League. They ran the swim club. They kind of did everything. And Joe was the guy who would get things done in the community when you had to deal with PennDOT and the bigger things. And, you know, didn't think about it, but I guess I was the next iteration of Joe when it went on the county council. So it's pleasing today to come here today when someone like Mike, who I knew, was an older guy. Mike, I don't know if he sold his first set of knives to our family, one of his first customers.
First 2 cents.
I said to Mike, he's lucky with the 5 Riley boys that one of those knives didn't end up in an evidence locker somewhere. But we always love their family, and he was great, and he's obviously done some great things, and it warms your heart when you see someone like him coming back and doing this and recognize that he's working with Mark in Middletown now and expanding this lot, which is needed. So how about a hand for our guest of honor today, Mike Lancellot.
Well, thank you all for being here, including that truck over that bridge that Joey helped to get to happen. It's almost like we have a St. Francis reunion here, St. Francis de Sales, which Andy mentioned. Certainly have a Riddlewood reunion. A lot of Riddlewaters are here. Is it Riddle Waters or Waters or
Whatever. Right, Dave?
Whatever.
Yeah.
whatever.
All y'all come on down.
My dad's nickname was Dugan because there's a bar some of you know not too far from here, Martin's Tavern. And we used to go there, and the bartender called everybody Dugan. Hey, Dugan, what do you want, Dugan? How about another shot, Dugan? And so my dad became Dugan, and I became Dugan Jr. And so for the past close to 40 years, we run an annual golf outing, which is now in Florida, with our friends from those areas that I just mentioned. And I see a lot of, it's called the Dugan Fest. And so I see a lot of Dugan Festers here today. Let's give it up for the Dugan Festers. Joey's smiling down about that. But anyhow, for those of you not familiar with the trail, it's 2.8 miles. It was such a pleasure for me to get to understand and appreciate what's here under the bridge that helped get through from PennDOT. But it ends a little down there, and it goes 2.8 miles and ends at Lenai Road along Chester Creek. And so my question for all of you is, are we at the beginning or the end?
Depends if you're from one island.
Exactly, Mark. It's all a matter of perspective. You know, if you're parking there, it's the beginning. If you park down a little further, this is the end. And so I couldn't help but think about that. The beginning, is it the beginning or the end? On one hand, this is the 2.8 miles, and it's really just the beginning of what's going to be happening on this trail as it continues to expand. And certainly when I spoke to Barry Pinkowitz, who couldn't be here today, he's at work, a work commitment. He's the president of the rail trail. You know, he definitely pointed out to me, Andy, how much of an important role you had from the county end in making this possible. So when you made that happen, it was the beginning, but it certainly wasn't the end. And what happened in the beginning is we lost Dad at age 88 last year, July 2nd. So it's coming up, I can't believe, already on the 1-year anniversary. And so the beginning was when I got in touch with my good friend Larry Weathers. We went to high school, Penncrest, and University of Delaware together. And the beginning of all this was, Larry, I'd like to speak to somebody, you know, to memorialize Dad and the work he did. So Larry introduced me to Mark, who you heard from today. And I want to thank you for all of your work on behalf of the township. And then you introduced me to Barry, and it all started from there to get what we're going to have unveiling here right today, which is, you know, really just the beginning of hundreds of people, thousands of people that'll be walking by. So it's really not just the end, but it's the beginning, you know, of continuing Dad's legacy, which just warms my heart. It really does. So I want to thank the rail trail, Chester Creek Rail Trail. We have a couple of representatives here today. Good thing that's a strong bridge. that was a lot of weight that just went over that bridge. But John's here. Thank you so much for being here. Sarah's here. And I know there's other board members that make all this possible. But Joni, if I can have you come forward here, and we'll unveil what we have. By the way, the picture of Dad hangs on my sister's refrigerator, and all the 4 kids have this picture of Dad when the bridge was finally completed, putting his foot on that guardrail up there with his hands raised in victory. That's one of the pictures. And then back to what happened with Barry Pinkowitz. He went back into the Daily Times archives. He was at Widener University to find the pictures of the wooden bridge, and he found them, and there's 2 of them here. And so it's with great honor and excitement and family pride, along with Middletown Township and Delco pride, that we introduce here the honor here of Joe Lancellot. It reads, Middletown Township Councilman, August 1973 through November 1981. And the inscription reads, Joe worked tirelessly with PennDOT to obtain approval for the replacement of the unsafe wooden bridge formerly on this site. So it's dedicated in his memory, June 13, 2022. And we list here Middletown Township Council, Chester Creek Rail Trail, and the Lancellot family. So here's to Joey. You can all take a closer look. As far as Joni and my involvement in this, is it the beginning or the end? It's certainly the beginning in terms of working together to make this possible today. I understand there's going to be other historical markers being installed along the trail at some point here real soon. But it's not the end of our support. What I have here, John, we're still work in progress on how the Lancellot family can help do and continue the work that you do here. So for starters, we have a check to cover the engineering or design work, and a check for $2,000 to cover the cost of this.
Thank you very much.
And then been in discussions with Andy I've been in discussions with Mark, been in discussions with Barry. What can we do? How can we help the rail trail? And those discussions are still going on based on a lot of different possibilities. But when John and I spoke, I said, what's the annual expense budget to run this? It's around $5,000 a year. So let's cover this year for $5,000. And then we will continue. There you go.
Sarah should be here too.
Thank you. This is the biggest single donation we have ever received, to my knowledge, in 23 years of, no, 25 years of building and maintaining this trail. So this is quite a day for us.
Well, thank you. It's our pleasure.
We appreciate this. So we've got 6 more signs to put up, and they're $2,500 each. So this will buy us a couple more signs.
Well, I owe you another 500. Let me see what I got.
So this is wonderful. Thank you.
You're quite
We will
welcome.
use your money wisely, and there's no overhead other than just a few things like insurance.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all you do. As I said, everyone, just to conclude and bring the end to what began a few minutes ago, it's just the beginning for Joni and me. We are proud to be from Middletown Township. I've known Joni since 5th grade. She grew up to the house next door to the Leskys. We started dating at age 15, high school sweethearts, and now married 43 years. So I grew up near the Glen Riddle train station, Laurel Lane, right on the other side of that bridge on Powell Road. I walked a half mile. See this pretty blonde until I got a driver's license. So anyhow, we're happy to give back to Middletown Township and Delaware County.
Well, we're grateful for your contribution to not only the trail, but your interest and continuing interest in Middletown. And look, let's face it, your father's contributions, like I said,
Absolutely.
It's appropriately noted now that he was a major contributor to what Middletown is today. So thank you very much.
Thanks for all your help in making this possible. Thank you all again for
Stay
being here
dry.
today.
Okay. Wow.
Take a picture of you too.
I have another idea, Andy, if you'll join me and Mark.
I don't know if you guys do that. Go with baseball?
We'll go like this, like Joey did.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm so
I
glad I
can't
finally
believe,
met you.
yeah, and I as well. It's hard to believe it was just a year ago, I picked up the phone and then boom.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thanks for being here, Andy. Good man.
Where did you grow up?
Right next to Los Angeles.